I'm only going to be using trailer footage because this is going to be somewhat a quick video before I get into Deep Blue Sea 2 or like the next video. But I'm not going to bother editing for that because that movie's... I've seen a little bit of it and it's really bad, so I'm not going to bother like editing it. And this is just going to be quick. So Deep Blue Sea is probably one of the only good shark movies. So if you want to watch like, good shark movies, you'd be able to start off with Jaws. And probably The Shallows. Haven't seen too much of it, but I liked it. Then Deep Blue Sea, then probably like Open Water, then The Reef, then maybe Jaws 2, I don't know. Something like that. Because most shark movies are like low budget crap fests, so it's very nice when like a big budget film comes along. And I watched this, I believe, when I was younger, and I liked it. And yes, there are some problems, like some bad CGI, especially when Samuel L. Jackson's character dies. The shark's moving around way too fast, and the story being a bit generic, but it's pretty serviceable, I'd say. So basically the story is about like these scientists who are like testing on sharks to like cure Alzheimer's, I believe. It's a lot like Planet of the Apes, or no, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I don't know why it's that one, but yeah, it's a lot like that one, but usually in shark movies the story isn't like that important, or at least the reason why this is all happening, it's not that important, I guess. I've seen worse setups, like just sharks randomly attacking. So at least they give some of a reason, because like the sharks are getting smaller. Smarter, and they're, I guess, getting annoyed that they're being held in cages. So it's an okay story, and I guess it's kind of what you expect. And then the whole place gets like blown up from like the top, so they have to find a way back up. And it does lead to some pretty good sequences where they have to like climb up like this ladder, and it breaks. Just go underwater. There's a lot of underwater sequences that are very good, and the sharks do look mostly good in those shots, except for sometimes, but it's very rare. And the underwater scenes are pretty cool, and you definitely want to hold your breath, and they're well made. And I do like that this knows how to, I guess, balance out comedy, horror, and action, I guess, because like there are some moments that are pretty genuinely terrifying or pretty intense, and then there are scenes of like comedy, but like it's like at points that would make sense. Sometimes it's like almost like jokes that are made to like it's like nervous, it would cause like nervous laughter. Quite a few things come from like LL Cool J's character, who's pretty cool, and his bird who was, I guess, kind of cool. I do remember, I thought the bird survived, because I always remember seeing the bird, getting eaten by the shark, but then it came back, but I guess it didn't. I don't know why. So, yeah, they were cool, or at least LL Cool J was probably the best part. I think my least favorite characters, probably the scientist. She wasn't, like, awful, but she was kind of like the stereotypical scientist who, was kind of, like, blinded by her work and didn't really see, what she was doing was bad until, like, the very end, and then she sacrificed herself, so it was kind of cliched, and she wasn't anything special, but at least the actress did a pretty good job. And I do like the idea of the sharks being able to be, like, kind of controlled, but then, they break free. It's a bit generic, but it's still interesting. It's something that you don't see, or you don't see too much. Samuel L. Jackson's character, he's pretty cool. Again, I mean, his death was unexpected, but yeah, the CGI does look pretty bad. Thomas Jane's character, he was okay. He's like the typical person that doesn't like talk. He's like the hero, the quiet protagonist. So everyone's not really like, none of the characters breaking new ground. This movie isn't breaking new grounds, but for what it does pretty well. Like the good special effects for the most part. Some really intense scenes that definitely make you like, it's intense. It's like on the edge of your seat. I don't care that much about these characters, but they're still very intense and well made. So I have to give the director that. And I have to give the writer some credit for creating a good script, because it's not that bad. The character interactions are kind of realistic. Some of it's kind of annoying. That's really it. So it's overall a pretty enjoyable film. I know this is kind of like unscripted and just kind of rambling, but I don't really know what to say. It's a classic film that's well made with a good budget, some solid effects for the most part, some okay characters that are enjoyable to watch. The pacing's pretty good. Even the first 30 minutes weren't, not too much happens. It's still enjoyable. Sorry about that brief background noise. It's still pretty enjoyable. And I do like the addition of the storm, because I guess, that's how the water gets in. And Yeah, it does remind me a lot of Jurassic Park, which came out a couple years before this, but it's still not that bad, which is fine because Samuel L. Jackson was also in the movie. So, this movie does feel like a combination of a couple other movies, but does do its own stuff well. Or even when it's doing stuff that other movies did, it still does it pretty well. Because again, it's a pretty high budget film, $60 million, and they spend it pretty well. It's competently made in terms of, like, visuals and stuff like that. Some good sets, too. It doesn't get boring on, like, most Asylum Shark movies. There's a lot of sets. I mean, there really is, like, one big set, but there are, like, mini sets within them. So that's nice. Oh my god, that background noise is so annoying. So yeah, I think the set's pretty good. I do like it because, there's water constantly rising, so it's like a constant threat, and that's very cool. And there's like the scene where like the fire's like coming down, and I believe Poison Dawn, like the remake, kind of did something like that, which I also watched, which is pretty good. But yeah, overall, this film is pretty good. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you do watch it. I wish the characters could have been better, less cliched, and some of the effects been better. But overall, it's pretty good. I enjoy it. Some good effects, some good characters. Well, they're enjoyable to watch, and they're like not that bad. And when it is bad, it's usually brief. So it's an enjoyable film. I highly recommend you watch it. It's one of the better shark films. But then again, most shark films kind of suck. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video whenever I cover Deep Blue Sea 2.